Hello, welcome everyone to the 30th anniversary conference of the EEAC network in Helsinki, Finland. And the topic for the next 2 days is the critical decade of action, mobilizing sustainability transformation in Europe. So EEAC, the European Environment and Sustainable Development Advisory Council's network, has been connecting councils and expert panels across Europe for 30 years. The EAC network consists of 18 advisory bodies from 14 European countries and regions. And these members offer advice to their respective national or regional governments related to climate change and the environment and sustainable development. And this year's anniversary celebration offers us an opportunity to reflect on the past years, but more importantly, to evaluate critically how we can leap to a sustainable future from now on. Now, the conference is hosted by Finland's 3 independent science panels, which are the Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development, the Finnish Climate Change Panel, and the Finnish Nature Panel. And we'll be here for 2 days. The conference brings together experts from academia, civil society, the private sector, and government to discuss the next steps for facilitating the sustainability transformation in this critical decade of action. And we'll hear interesting keynote speeches, we'll engage in workshops and parallel sessions, and these will include the following themes. We'll talk about joining forces for sustainability transformation. We'll talk about Europe's global responsibility in combating climate change. And we will also talk about the mid-term policy actions that are necessary to take against the biodiversity crisis. So feel free to share your insights from the conference on Twitter and other social media. Hashtags for social media, you can see them here, I hope you can see them here, are EEAC30 and critical decade. And you can also hashtag the handle EEAC network. Tag the handle. So my name is Hanna Nikkanen. I'm an environmental journalist at the Finnish long-form magazine Longplay, and I will be facilitating all the keynote sessions at this conference. And also one note about today is that today, actually in about an hour, the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, will be giving her annual State of the Union address to the European Parliament. And so that will happen about 10 our time, and that will, of course, be like an interesting addition to our conversations here to hear what she says in Brussels while we're gathered here in Helsinki. But now, I have the honor of introducing our first speaker. She's Saara Karimi. She's a Finnish climate activist and a journalist who's currently working for the Finnish Broadcasting Company. So welcome, Saara. The floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me. I have to first apologize. My iPad's charge just died, so I have to read it through my phone. My name is Saara Karimi. I'm a climate and a human rights activist and also a journalist in the Finnish broadcasting company Yle. But today I'm here to offer the take of an activist on what should be done about the greatest threats humanity faces. As we all know, the climate crisis is accelerating and we are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction. My roots are from Afghanistan, and I've seen firsthand how the climate crisis already impacts those who are the most vulnerable and the least responsible for it. Action must be taken now. This is no longer an issue that can be pushed back. At the same time, we cannot solve only one issue without facing the others. Inequality is rampant, and especially women's rights are under attack. In a crisis, the ones who suffer first are women. Millions of women in crisis settings live in danger. They face daily risks to their health and safety and limited access to medical care and social services. We have seen how child marriages are on the rise again. Drought, failing harvests, and water scarcity are a part of everyday life for people in my second home country. Meanwhile, here we are in the global north, comfortable in our everyday lives, still avoiding responsibility and forgetting the lives of millions in the global south. The climate crisis cannot be addressed without addressing the injustice of the situation. The rich are fine, they will always be fined, and they would be more than happy to let the poorer countries and people bear the brunt of the crisis. The global north has a moral obligation to help the global south and not leave them to suffer the impacts of the actions of the north. In addition to the climate crisis, there is the issue of the biodiversity loss. It is once again easy to blame others for logging their rainforest, but ignore what's happening in our own backyard. We are chopping down our old forest more than ever before. No one else can protect and save our nature but us. But yet, we are currently heading in the opposite direction. The loss of Finland's forest carbon sinks should be the news that wakes our leaders up. When the last of our national treasures we claim to so value and nurture is chopped down, maybe then we'll realize what we've just lost. But it is not too late. We can still change the course. This is the decade where we no longer can close our eyes and delay the decisions that must urgently be made. While I believe individual actions are important and everyone can do their part, I also believe that we are stronger together. We can all do our part at home by small acts like recycling, but that is not going to save us anymore. We need to come together and demand our leaders to take actions immediately. This is a fight that we cannot lose, and we need everyone to take a part. At the end of the day, the question is whether you choose to protect your own interests or those in need of our protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, for your insights and for connecting us with the biggest questions of this decade, and also for raising the issue of global responsibility, which will set the tone, I hope, for the discussions that we're having here. And next, please let me invite our next speaker to the stage. She's Dr. Katriina Siivonen, co-chair at the Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development, and she hails from the field of future studies. So welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and thank you for Sahra for your important and heavy words. So, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, as the co-chair of the Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development, I would like to wish all of you warmly welcome to this 13th ESA Annual Conference organized by, as we heard already, Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development, the Finnish Climate Change Panel and the Finnish Nature Panel, together then with this ESA network. The theme of the conference is Critical Decade of Action. We have heard already this critical decade now several times, but it is important to emphasize it. Mobilizing Sustainability Transformation in Europe is the subtitle, and we will have 2 intensive days to discuss this theme from several perspectives. To begin the discussion of our conference, it's good to notice that we can foresee a future in which good, healthy and meaningful life with a minimal burden on the environment is possible. This will be achieved through interdisciplinary economic wisdom, the implementation of bold systemic transformation, and a broad dialogue in society. It is important to involve those groups and organizations which up until now have not had the chance to participate in the building of a sustainability way of life. Thus, we emphasize in the conference theme and in the different presentations and discussions in the conference the need to mobilize and involve new actors in sustainability work in the society. A future is sustainable in the long term a future that is sustainable in the long term is created today on the basis of scientific knowledge through joint efforts by various actors. It is not an impossible task, but making it happen will require political commitment across the board, a respect for knowledge-based decision-making, and the rethinking of our way of life in a manner that involves all people. We must break free from pursuing such progress that increases ecological debt. Being able to do this requires that each decision maker in different sectors and on different levels of society actively takes responsibility for identifying risks and opportunities and participates in the eco-social building and development of new technologies that recognize the limits of this planet. European countries inevitably operate in the global community, as Zahra also mentioned, as a part of the planet's natural systems. The impacts of production and consumption extend to ecosystems and people in different parts of the Earth. European countries have the prerequisites for showing the way to others, and also a global obligation to do so. Leading by example requires that we, together with various actors in society, recognize the view of a sustainable future, set ambitious goals, and take determined actions to achieve them. The overuse of natural resources and environmental pollution have progressed so far that instead of a gradual change, we need a swift societal transformation which allocates resources in a new way, one that fosters sustainability. The sustainability transformation in a systemic approach for society to change in an orderly and holistic manner. There is a need to turn societal well-being maintaining systems from the current unsustainable activities to ones that are sustainable in all respects. National governments can dismantle obstacles and modify structures, but they alone cannot build a sustainable future or accelerate the sustainability transformation. The participation of all actors of society in various roles is needed in business, in financing system, the media sector, municipalities, education and research, communities and associations, and also as individuals. And also individuals are active on all these levels. We can notice that there is a broad mutual understanding concerning the need to foster sustainable development. However, the concrete methods to do so are still debated. The Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development has identified the key illusions that slow down the progress of the sustainability transformation, as well as ways to overcome these illusions. They are published in the so-called second yellow publication of the panel. To read more deeply about them, you can find the free publication from this conference desk. So, dear colleagues, we aim to proceed towards a successful sustainability transformation. We can imagine a state of activity that we want to pursue and co-create it with all different actors in the society. It is a future state which does not yet exist, but the elements of which can already be identified. It takes a different form in different countries, but the principle is the same. In the state of activity, the institutions maintained by people will jointly develop and maintain systems that support the health and well-being of both people and the planet, generating a harmonious planetary entity. The beginning rhythms can already be felt. They can be felt on different levels of society and in different groups of actors. These themes and discussions are discussed in coming 2 days. We hope that the conference generates transdisciplinary, stimulating and critical discussion that promote networking between people from different backgrounds and interested in questions about sustainability transformation. So once again, on behalf of all organizers, and I wish you a warm welcome to the 13th EAC Annual Conference.
Thank you, Katriina Siivonen. Again, lots of important points about interdisciplinary dialogue and the need for mobilization that covers different aspects, different sectors of society and knowledge-based decision-making. Again, themes that will that we will return to over and over on during these 2 days. And now our last speaker of this opening session is Arnau Queralt-Bassa, who is the chair of the EEAC network. Mr. Queralt-Bassa, the floor is yours.
Hello, good morning, dear ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues. We have had already truly inspiring contributions from this morning from Sarah and Katriina, so thank you very much on behalf of the EAC. It is a great honor for me to address these words to you in my capacity of chairman of the EEAC network, the European Network of Advisory Councils on the Environment and Sustainable Development, in short, the EEAC network, you know, very long names. After 2 years in which the network organized all these activities, including 2 annual conferences virtually due to the pandemic, it is truly joyful to be able to meet again in person for the first time in 3 years. So we are extremely joyful for this. I'm, however, glad that this conference will also provide a hybrid format. This will allow us to hear the views of some distinguished experts who could not travel to Helsinki, and it also will allow many people to be following us from their respective countries. We send you, I don't know where is the camera, but we send you all greetings from Helsinki. This is the 30th annual conference of our network. It marks 30 years of a change, knowledge building, and joint work among advisory councils from all around Europe. We owe a great deal of gratitude to our host for enabling us to come here together, the Finnish Expert Panel for Sustainable Development, thank you, the Finnish Climate Change Panel, and the Finnish Nature Panel. I would like, before continuing, to thank the panels for organizing and hosting this conference. And let me assure you, and I express this gratitude on behalf of the EAC network as a whole. Dear colleagues, the conference is conducted during a critical moment for the future of the planet and humanity. A moment, moreover, critical for peace, with a war in Ukraine that has dramatically and forever changed the lives of millions of people and families. We would like to send our solidarity to all of them. I hardly need to explain this audience how dire the situation of our planet is. In its recent analysis, the Earth Commission makes, in its analysis that was issued last week, the Earth Commission makes a clear warning to the international community. 16 climate tipping points could be triggered if global temperature rises beyond 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. Actually, 5 of these 16 tipping points may be already triggered at today's temperature. The destabilization in parts of Greenland and West Antarctic ice sheets, the widespread abrupt permafrost thaw, the collapse of convection in the Labrador Sea, and massive die-off of tropical coral reefs. The world is heading towards between 2 or 3 of global warming degrees of global warming, far away from the Paris Agreement goal. And as Johan Rockström, the co-chair of the Earth Commission and director of Potsdam Institute for Climate Impact Research, said when this commission launched its paper, this situation sets Earth on course to cross multiple dangerous tipping points that will be disastrous for people across the world. To maintain livable conditions on Earth, protect people from rising extremes, and enable stable societies, here Johan Rockström argued, we must do everything possible to prevent crossing tipping points. Every 1/10 of a degree counts. It will come as no surprise that I fully agree with him. Can you hear me? Because I think the micro, okay. The world and Europe must radically accelerate decarbonization, decarbonizing the economy and rethinking resource use to limit the risk of crossing climate, but also biodiversity tipping points. This requires systemic change, starting immediately. The question is, will we be able to do it? And the question is clear. Ladies and gentlemen, as the title says, and it's not new, we face a critical decade of action. We are all aware of the difficulties we face in driving transformative action, either as governments and parliaments or as advisory bodies to these institutions. We are making progress in terms of policy making, but are we making progress at the right pace? And is implementation truly successful? The evidence so far shows that it is not the case. Despite the challenging situation, I really think that our councils and all colleagues attending this conference are part of the solution. This is why the title of the conference calls for mobilizing sustainability transformation in Europe. Let's push for it. Let's push for this together. I would like to conclude my speech by expressing again the gratitude of the EAC network to the 3 independent science panels based in Finland that have organized this conference. So, kiitos paljon. Dear colleagues, this means thank you in Finnish. Dear colleagues, I wish you all an inspiring conference. I look forward to hearing the insights, solutions, and views relevant to our common job. Thank you. Kiitos paljon.